Good morning. It is, what is today? Monday, December 13th. It's been a while. Hopefully this will go through again. You guys keep praying for me and computer issues. I'm hoping to start getting more of these out again, especially now while I'm on vacation. With computer issues, it kind of makes it tough to do. So here's the deal. If you get the written devotionals, keep reading those. I love doing these video ones, but the written ones I do every day and can do that without any glitches. But with my computers locking up a bunch with all this stuff going on, that it's just too hard sometimes to get stuff to go through. So anyway, if you get the written, you'll know that Friday or Saturday as well as today, I'm kind of focusing on finding keys to finding rest. That when life's so crazy around us, we need to find rest. So Saturday's devotional was the key to finding rest was being in His presence. So go back and look at that written devotional on the website, or you can go back through my notes on my Facebook page and see that. But really good words, really helping you understand about just if you want to be at rest, if you want to have peace in your life, even in the midst of the greatest of struggles and trials and tribulations, it's being in His presence. Well, how do I know how to get in His presence? Well, that's what today's going to kind of focus on. It's knowing His nature. So today's devotional is keys to finding rest. We have to know His nature. The word comes out of 2 Samuel 22, verses 29 through 34. And it says, "For you are my lamp, O Lord. The Lord shall enlighten my darkness. For by you I can run against a troop. By my God I can leap over a wall. As for God, His way is perfect. The word of the Lord is proven. He is a shield to all who trust in Him. For who is God except the Lord? And who is a rock except our God? God is my strength and power, and He makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like the feet of deer and sets me on the high places." That's 2 Samuel 22, 29 through 34. Now the cool thing about this is that it comes from the book of 2 Samuel. If you know the word, you know that this is actually Psalm 18. This is a song, one of the Psalms that David wrote, right? Anybody knows the Psalms? They were the song book of the Israelites. And so these are the praise songs, if you will, of the Israelites that they would come together and sing in the congregation. Well, David wrote so many of these, right? You know that he was a shepherd boy out, and he'd play his harp, and he would just be out tending the flocks of the sheep. And evidently he was a pretty good little harp player, because he would also come in, remember, before he was King David, he would come in and play the harp for Saul, and that would put Saul at peace. So that's why the Psalms bring so much peace. The words of David were songs that were written and they brought about peace. We know that by seeing what it did in Saul's life. So when Saul was vexed by his own personal demons, David would come in there and play it, and it would just put everything to ease in Saul's life. So how cool is that we then get to read it, and it's awesome, the enlightenment that it brings to me. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today. 2 Samuel 22, verses 29 through 34. David says, "For you are my lamp, O Lord. The Lord shall enlighten my darkness." Here's the deal. Whenever life goes crazy for me, I always tend to think that, when life goes crazy, my human nature just wants to leave God out of the mix. And I think I have to get things right. I have to get things to where I can spend the time I need to with God. And so I've got to, if I can just go take care of this, and I mark off my to-do list. And I think that once I can do that, I can have peace, and then I can get alone with God, and things will all come to understanding. But we miss the point. See, what we do is, that's what I love about reading about David, because David understood when he was in the midst of the struggle, that's when he called out to God. So he didn't wait for the struggle to end, right? He called out to God in the midst of it. Even we think about, when David was caught and his sin was made known with Bathsheba, and not only with Bathsheba, but him putting her husband up at the front of the line, knowing he'd be killed, and the prophet comes up and talks, and when he reveals that it's you, what did David do? He didn't run and try to fix all of his wrongs and then approach God. He just fell down before God, ripped his clothes, and said, "Against you and you alone, O Lord, have I sinned." That's the heart. That's what God wants, is that no matter what's going on in our life, that we're willing to just open ourselves up to Him. And so when you're going through the struggles, when you're going through the tough times, I've had one of the toughest I've been doing these devotionals like consistently for over a year now, as far as the written devotionals. So every morning, there are some exceptions, but every morning, and then on some, except for Sundays, most every morning I get up and I write these devotionals, and I have my personal time with God, and I write them, and they flow, and it comes out so easily that it's not like it's a struggle for me. But I'm starting every morning out with God and staying in His Word. And I'm telling you, even in the midst of the greatest struggles and trials of my life, that there's never been a year that I've been more blessed than this past year. It has been amazing watching God consistently show up, whether it be through ministry opportunities, whether it be through provision that comes in at the last moment. I've never had a tougher year financially. I've never had a tougher year financially. I've never had more struggles emotionally, physically, physical stuff that I've had going on in my life. But yet God continues to show up day in and day out. That's a beautiful thing, and that gives you peace that passes all understanding. And so what I want to encourage you today is, if you go back and knowing that, one, we have to be in God's presence. Well, how do we get in God's presence? Well, we don't have to get everything right before we get into God's presence. We have to just simply know His nature, and that means He accepts us the way we are. We don't get cleaned up before we come to Him. We just walk arms open wide, because that's how He's waiting for us. Walk arms open wide unto Him, and He's waiting arms open wide for us. And when we do that, we will gain understanding. So we've got to be about getting in the Word of God. Okay, so maybe this word today finds you in a place of, in a personal relationship with Christ. Maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, you give your heart to Christ. If it does, if you're already given your heart to Christ, but you haven't surrendered your life, then that's what you need to do. And you surrender it to His Word, and by surrendering to His Word, by submitting yourself to His Word on a daily basis, you'll begin to understand His nature. You'll understand His heart towards you. You'll understand what His thoughts towards you are. See, if I just rest on my own intellect of what God's nature, I condemn myself, right? I mean, how many of us we know we think, well, we're a pretty good guy, or we're a pretty decent person. I do this and do this right and do this. But when we get along with God, we know the secret stuff that we do. We know the secret thoughts that we have towards other people, the hateful thoughts, the hurtful things that we want to say, even if we don't say them. And so we condemn ourselves. But that's not God. And the only way we know that, the difference between self and God, is to get in His Word. And if we do that, there's an enlightenment that takes place. I love the fact of what David starts out here. For you are my lamp, you shall enlighten my darkness. So when I'm darkened by my own confusion and cloud of confusion in my head, you split that cloud and enlighten me. And that's beautiful. You are my lamp. For by you I can run against a troop. By my God I can leap over a wall. I mean, basically, we're talking Superman qualities here, right? I can do anything by the grace of God. As for Him, why can I do it? Because as for God, His way is perfect, and the word of the Lord is proven. Right? I've got all these examples in the entire Bible of how many times, time in and time again, that God has given provision and health and prosperity and blessing to His people, even in the midst of the greatest trials. Now, no, I'm not talking about prosperity as far as always having your pockets fat, full of money. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about prosperity in having the characteristics of God and having His love flooding all over your life. He is a shield to all who trust in Him. He is our shield. He holds back the arrows of the enemy. For who is God except Him? Who's a rock? Who is rock? Settled, unchanging, not going to go anywhere. Who's a rock except our God? I myself am not a rock, but with God, I can stand on Him, and I won't go anywhere. That's beautiful. He gives He makes my way perfect, complete. He completes my path. And He makes my feet like the feet of a deer and sets me on high places. I love the thought of that. Of course, we know that if you've ever got a chance to read the old book, Hind's Feet in High Places, I encourage you to do that, because it talks about no matter what befalls or where our journey takes us, He gives us surety in our steps. So anyway, blessings to you guys. The way to know God is to get into His Word, know His nature. You've got to know His nature. Blessings to you guys. I'll see y'all again soon. Hopefully, we'll talk then.